Welcome to your virtual tour of the UC Davis Herbarium. I'm Allison Caldwell, and I'm going to give you a mass tour of what's going on here today during our reduced operations coronavirus era. This is our main workroom, ordinarily full of researchers, graduate students, often classes, with dissecting scopes available on boom stands so you can look at herbarium specimens. We have lots of references as well. I'm going to mask up and take you through the collections room now. And Jennifer Poor, my assistant, is our photographer today. Okay, here we have compactors housing 350,000 or so specimens. We're a medium-sized herbarium founded based on viticulture and weed collections early on, and 80 or 90 years ago. And those have been consolidated and added to. So we're specializing in California flora, but we have collections from all over the world because of people's research projects where they have led them. Our files are color-coded, so most of our files have a yellow tab. That's California, our main focus. We have lots of North American collections, a substantial number of Central and South American as well, and then a smattering of collections from the rest of the world. We also have a lot of cultivated specimens, varieties, potentially weeds in fields, things like that, and those are marked in green. So we start our collection with the non-vascular cryptogams, and this is our very small collection of lichens. Lichens are kept in packets and with a label, and this is what they typically look like. They're glued onto a card. Actually, these are probably just set on a card and kept upright. Next to them, we have our bryophyte collection, small but growing substantially, thanks to our resident bryologist, Stephen Ray. Again, kept in packets because they're small, and bryologists like them not to be pressed flat. Here's one hypnum from Lake Tahoe area. All right. Down this way, we've got, you can see we have a small library collection of floras, references that may or may not also be in Shields Library. So if you're looking for some oddball journal, you can inquire with us if it's floristics related. We also have a collection of algae, marine algae as well. They're very beautiful. Come look at them sometime. So our vascular plants are the bulk of the collection. They're organized roughly phylogenetically by families related to each other, from basal magnoliids up to eudicots and hesteridae. The families have numbers, and you can look your family up by name and find the number, and then easily get to the compactor with the number. And I'm going to show you here, we're at 107 Poaceae, and I'll just show you an example. One of the important functions of the herbarium is tracking species occurrences, and for us, weeds are a big part of the collection, and this is that nasty Arundodonax that is taking over our wetlands in California. This was collected as a novelty in 1958 in Madera County. And originally in the A-hook herbarium, which was our weed herbarium, now part of our main collection here. So yellow for California, a bunch of cultivated Avena and native California Avena, and a few from elsewhere in the world. So that's basically the organization. I want to show you our type specimens. Oh, the reason it's so noisy in here is that we have this loud air handling system to keep the temperature at or below 60 degrees, because although plant specimens are extremely stable, made mostly of cellulose, there are insects that specialize in eating them. So we have several procedures in place to reduce and mostly eliminate that problem, but we have to be careful. This is our types cabinet. As I mentioned about Linnaeus setting up the concept of a single type specimen being defining each species to minimize confusion. Here's a type of Clarkia mildredae and subspecies Utessens from Butte County. And this is an isotype, meaning that probably Chico State Herbarium has the holotype, so that's the one specimen type, but any others that were collected in the same place at the same time are typically distributed to other herbaria, you know, in an earthquake zone. That's important to not put all your eggs in one basket. And so Lawrence Janeway, who's the curator at that herbarium, probably made a lot of isotypes and distributed them widely. Keep that in mind when you're describing a new species. It's good practice. Here's another example. Cultivated plant ancestor, Zea diploperennis. And this again is an isotype collected in Mexico by Hugh Iltis. And when he described this ancestor of corn. Okay, put that away. And let's go look at our imaging project. It's at the back of the collection. Everybody's distributed in far corners of our facility now because of coronavirus safety. So here's where Annalisa Milky, a recent graduate and our newest assistant, is doing imaging of specimens for an NSF project that is trying to image many hundreds of thousands of specimens to look at phenological changes over time. So we can do hundreds of images every day, and then we have to upload and store them and type in the data, and it's keeping up to a dozen people busy on the project. Okay, we'll go now to, thanks Annalisa. We're going to go now to the other end. This is what we call our dirty room, because this is where specimens come in, and you will recognize Karen Kiyotoku from the class she and I have been sitting in. She's mounting specimens in here, and ordinarily this operation would be in another room, but she's here to maintain safe distances, except while we're bothering her, of course. If this room also has freezers, and that any incoming specimens go in the -20 for 2 weeks, and you can see some that have come out and they're thawing, so they can go into the collection. The one other thing I want to show you in here, we have a drying oven where plant presses are dried. We can check out plant presses to you, and you can bring them in here for drying, although in California in the summer, the whole state's a good drying room. And then they'll go from here to the freezer, and then you get a cabinet in the collections room to keep your materials for working with. Okay, last stop. Back to the first room, ordinarily our front door, and ordinarily the bounty room, but right now it's our collections manager, Terry Berry's office, and she's working on specimens, data entry. She manages the vast amount of data and imagery that come in. So that's pretty much the whole place, and next year we'll look forward to seeing you in for an in-person tour.